How to become a Section 8 real estate investor. Did you know that Section 8 is the largest federally subsidized housing program out there? And as an investor, it can be one of the best investments that you can make. In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you would get started, what some of the benefits are, and even some of the disadvantages. Let's go.
Noel. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, no, you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
In this video, I'm going to share with you a step-by-step process on how you become a Section 8 real estate investor and how to maximize this program. I'm also going to share with you some pros and cons of this program and how to navigate through that system. And last but not least, I'm going to give you some tips that I've learned on how to manage your tenants so that you don't drive yourself crazy. You may have heard that Section 8 is the largest federal housing subsidization program out there. In other words, this is how the American government is subsidizing people's rents. And as an investor, you literally can get Section 8 tenants or do an entire Section 8 project and have guaranteed rents. So let me explain how this all works. The first thing that you want to do before you ever start investing in anything is to do your research. This video is an amazing way for you to start doing it, so please subscribe to this channel and help me do the research to help you get great information. Only about 36% of all of the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed to my channel, so please make sure that you subscribe because that helps me help you. So the first thing that you want to do before you do anything is, like I said, do your research. So you want to go to HUD's website and learn everything that you can about the Section 8 program, but I'm going to share with you a lot of that information and break it down so that you can actually navigate this program and become an investor of Section 8. There are two different programs for Section 8. You have the voucher program and you have project-based Section 8. So let's first talk about the voucher-based program because that is obviously the most popular. This follows individuals, and when they are approved by Section 8, they actually have a voucher and they can rent any Section 8 approved property. Therefore, if you are the landlord of rental properties and you have properties that you want to rent, you can advertise your properties to people with Section 8 vouchers. Now, let's talk about project-based just so you understand that. You may have already heard about different projects, and some people will say the PJs, and those were some of the older project-based Section 8 programs. So a lot of times the entire community was designated for low-income housing or for people that were on Section 8 and were approved to get subsidized rent. A lot of this project-based Section 8 has kind of gone away because some of the data and research and some of the experiences that people were having is that a lot of those projects actually became like the projects. People were all concentrated in poverty. Sometimes there was a lot of crime. There was maybe a lot of violence, drugs. A lot of things actually happened in those projects. And so a lot of those projects have kind of gone away. However, if you are a major developer, you have lots of multi-unit properties that you want to build, you can actually get your project approved by Section 8 and your entire project could have Section 8 tenants. Now, I don't think that's probably what you are looking for, so I'm going to talk directly to you about the voucher program and how you can get a Section 8 tenant and have guaranteed rent from the U.S. government. So if you have a rental property, say for example, you have a condo or you have a house or you have a property, it could even be a mobile home that you want to rent to someone and have them be a Section 8 person and receive your rents directly from the government, they actually would have a voucher and you can get your property approved by Section 8. The first thing that you would do is go to HUD's website and you would fill out the application to get your property approved for Section 8 vouchers. Because the property has to meet certain expectations, meaning it has to have certain safety, it has to have certain distance from school, it has to have certain electrical, HVAC, plumbing, it has to meet a certain requirement. However, for the most part, I think that most properties would meet Section 8 guidelines and if the property is in good condition. The property obviously can't be in terrible condition, it can't be falling apart with holes, in the roof, leaking water and things like that. But if you have a decent property, for the most part, I would say that it probably would get approved, but that is step one, filling out the application for a landlord and getting that property inspected by Section 8. That would be step two. So once you have filled out the application and then you have gotten the inspection and you have passed the inspection, now you can actually market and receive in Section 8 tenants. Now, at this time of this video, Section 8 will either have the government will actually pay 100% of the rent, or they will pay 70% and the tenant will pay the other 30%. Now, most people really would like for the tenant to pay something because it does seem like they are often more vested. However, that's not necessarily your decision. It is the decision of the person that has the Section 8 voucher. So once your property is approved and passes inspection for Section 8, you can take Section 8 tenants and they will either, again, the government will send you 100% of the rent, or the government will send you 70% and then the tenant will give you that other 30%. Now, let's talk about why this is awesome. Regular payments from HUD. One of the amazing things of why people like being Section 8 investors is because their property is actually rented by the government. Essentially, their payments are guaranteed by the government, that you don't have to wait on the tenant to pay you your money. So even if the tenant is responsible for the 30%, again, the government, HUD, is sending you 70%, you basically have gotten most of your rent payments, and those payments do come in very regular. Additionally, HUD, because they are governed by the United States government, they will have kind of cost of living adjustments. So each year you'll be able to raise your rent about 5 to 8%. And actually year after year after year, when you renew the leases, you will be able to get even more money. And again, those payments are very regular. I haven't heard of many people that have had trouble receiving their money from HUD. Usually if your property has passed inspection and there's no outstanding complaints or anything like that, HUD will send your money pretty regularly. And that is a great benefit because you are not chasing down a tenant for payments. Reduced vacancy. Another amazing thing, of course, is that you won't have many issues finding a Section 8 tenant. Because this program is actually very popular and there are many Section 8 people with vouchers looking for properties, your vacancies are probably going to be very low. You'll probably easily be able to find lots of Section 8 tenants that will be able to rent your property, so you won't have as many vacancies as compared to an investor that is not doing Section 8 housing. From my experience, I don't do a lot of Section 8 investing. I have done it in the past. I currently do not have any. I can honestly say that your vacancy rates are usually lower because the demand for properties is much higher than the supply. So you will find lots of different tenants and they will be looking for properties and they will get into your property pretty quickly. So you won't have as many vacancies as compared to someone that is looking for if you're looking for just regular fair market rent tenants. Lower capital expenditures. Because you won't have to do as much to your property, again, the property just needs to be in basic living conditions. You won't necessarily have to put the latest and greatest technologies into your property in order to attract tenants. So people that are Section 8 landlords and investors actually don't have to spend as much readying their properties as compared to people that are renting or landlording to fair market rent tenants. They are not usually looking for stainless steel appliances and granite countertops and all of those different fancy high-end amenities. You will basically be able to create your property and spend less putting it together in order to attract a Section 8 tenant. Now let's talk about some disadvantages. So many people think that Section 8 landlording is probably one of the worst things that you can do. Now, I gave you the disclaimer that I have done this in the past, but I do not currently have any properties that are available for Section 8, mainly because I don't have a lot of long-term tenants. I am mostly focused on my portfolio on short-term rentals around Walt Disney World. So I have a completely different thing that I do right now. However, when I was in Texas and in Virginia and in Connecticut and a few other places that I have invested, I have done this. But let me tell you the disadvantages, because there are some, and I think in some cases they're a little bit overblown, and there is a good opportunity here if you would like to be a Section 8 investor / landlord. Bureaucracy. The first reason that most people hate being a Section 8 landlord is because there is a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, there's a lot of paperwork to fill out, there's annual inspections on the property, there is a lot to go through. When you have a fair market rent tenant and you just advertise it, you don't necessarily have to go through the government making sure that the property passes inspections every single year and that they may have you fix certain things or do little upgrades. It is definitely a lot lot more bureaucracy and dealing with the government. So that could be a real disadvantage if you are someone that does not want to deal with the government. Obviously, when you're getting guaranteed rent payments from the government, that is going to come with some responsibilities, and one of it is more paperwork. Rent limits. Obviously, as market rents increase, you are not able to do those same rent increases with Section 8 tenants. So you are not going to be able to just constantly increase your rents as the market adjusts. So right now, as the values are going up in properties, so are rents. And landlords are raising rents all over the country and making a lot more money on their rental properties. However, when the Section 8 tenant, you cannot take advantage of those. Because you have those guaranteed payments and they're coming directly from HUD, you are not going to be able to just raise the rent whenever you want to or year after year. You will have those 5 to 8% increases that HUD allows for and that they will basically let you know that you're eligible for, but that really is about it. So if the market, for example, has a 20% or 15% increase and the government, HUD is saying 5%, well then 5% is going to be the max that you are going to be able to do. No security deposits. This is probably the one that really gets people. And for me, quite frankly, this is the one that hurts. I love security deposits. In fact, if I have a tenant that has bad credit, I have done triple and double and triple deposits, meaning if the rent is $1,000, they may have to give me a $2,000 or $3,000 security deposit. And in many cases, they never ever see that money again, because when they move out, everything that needs to be fixed, I take it out of that security deposit. Well, with a Section 8 tenant, you do not have that advantage because there are no security deposits. Remember, Section 8 tenants with vouchers, they are lower income families. They are looking for affordable housing, so they are not able to give you $3,000, $4,000 and all of these different amounts in order to move into your property. This is something that often leads to the next disadvantage, which is tenant damages. Tenant damages is probably the biggest thing that is out there in the world. Now, I'm not going to say that this is actually true. I do not want to stereotype Section 8 tenants or say anything negative about them or that group or anything like that. I think there's far too much negative press out there about Section 8 tenants, and much of it is very exaggerated. I have dealt with regular rent, regular income tenants, and they too damage properties. So to say that they have this, they don't care about the properties and they damage them at a much higher level, I'm not sure if that data actually pans out. However, since there is no security deposit, tenant damages actually feels worse for a landlord. And so that is one of the disadvantages that I would say that ties in, and why no security deposit and tenant damages are kind of one of the things that is a big disadvantage from a Section 8 landlord perspective. Eviction challenges. This is another one that leads into what really happens with a Section 8 tenant. So obviously, if you have to evict a Section 8 tenant, the process is so much longer. One of the great things about being a landlord is you can actually be a landlord in many different states. For example, there are states that are considered tenant friendly and there are states that are considered landlord friendly. As an investor, as a seasoned investor, I like investing in rental properties in states that are landlord friendly. For example, Georgia, Texas, Florida, meaning I can evict someone in less than 30 days. As soon as they have not paid, I can start filing dispossessory warrants and things like that on like the 10th or the 11th of the month. I literally can start charging late fees the 3rd day of the month. Well, when you have a Section 8 tenant, it is not that simple. Evicting them will take a lot longer. You actually have to get approval from HUD, and there is a lot more paperwork, so there are more challenges. Not that you cannot evict a Section 8 tenant, it just usually takes longer to do it. And in many cases, it's not because of non-payment, because like I said, that's not really one of the disadvantages. That's one of the advantages. You get most or all of your money from HUD. Therefore, you're probably not going to be evicting them for non-payment. Most likely, you are evicting them for something else. So that's something to think about. Do you want to learn more? Well, I am here to teach you. Go to noellerandall.com/masterclass and sign up right now for my free masterclass via Zoom. You can take it right from your computer. It is a live class, not a recording, where I will be teaching you how to replace your income using real estate and quit your job the same way that Noel Randall did. Spots are limited and this class is filling up now, so please go RSVP right now at noellerandall.com/masterclass. That is Noelle, Noelle, Randall, RANDALL.com/masterclass, MASTERCLASS. Go right now. Spots are filling up quickly, and I cannot wait to see you there. I just want to make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle. To your success.